Hello everyone, it's been a minute, but here we are with another tutorial. We're doing a sew-in, a middle part sew-in. She's only leaving a little bit of edges out. She's not the whole perimeter because, yeah, some people, myself included, are very neglectful of the outside perimeter, even though I've done a little better. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But here I am. I am just going to part off where I'm going to begin braiding her hair, avoiding, catching the edges into the braid. And again, I braid really thin. Uh, and I mean, I part really thin and braid the hair around so that the sew-in lays flat. I like a really flat install. So I'm just going to use the same braid pattern that I used on the previous video. I do two braids around the edges. So on the right side, and then I'll go to the other side and do a braid going around that part of the hair too. You'll see in a minute if what I'm saying right now doesn't make sense. So here, this is what I was trying to explain before. I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to section off the outside edge of the left side of her head and do the same thing. Braid a very thin braid around that area. And everything, like your install, braids are very important when it comes to having a great flat seamless install. We can't just half step on braids. I see people having, who do installs and and their braids, I mean, they take them straight back or whatever and like pull them up or whatever and do like connector braids that way. Um, I haven't been successful doing that. It always leaves like this lump in the back. And I can't take it. So this has been my method for probably over 10 years now. So just like so I'll basically grab up that last braid and connect it into this braid. So then I'll begin on the other side and start braiding. So what I do is I part the hair down the middle and I start, so here I am parting the hair down the middle, and then I do a circle, like I pineapple braid along the right side, and then I'll do a pineapple braid along the left side. If you don't know what pineapple braid is, it basically is a braid that kind of wraps around your head or goes into a spiral or a circle or whatever. Um, yeah, along the both sides of the head. So you'll get it once we get to the end. But you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to circle around the right side of her head. And this leaves you with a very, very, very flat install. And the thicker the hair, the thinner my braids are going to be. Yeah, I'm like on the second row, and And you can kind of tell what I'm doing. See, just gonna spiral it around. As you can see here. So that's a better look. And then what I do is I do both sections. And I take the end of the right section, I connect it in with the left section. I think I was saying in the video before, like pretty soon I want to offer very, very, very detailed videos. I guess a lengthy video on how I do this on my sew-in process. That way you guys can kind of see in more detail what's going on. So with my first row, just like with the illusion install, I basically just stitch in a ditch with the first track or the first weft. I take the tracks and I kind of just like sew them underneath that first braid. Even though she's not planning on lifting it up, it just makes me feel better and it gives you a very neat install. And I forgot to mention that I did sew on the net prior to doing this. It actually helps you keep the tracks, sew the tracks closer together. And also for me, it helps me move a little faster. And the client did, these are actually some very, very, very old bundles that the client had. And she didn't want to wear them curly anymore because she said that they were hard to manage. Her hair and the curly hair, her hair would drop a little, a little tighter than this curly hair. So she said she wanted to have them installed and straightened. But yeah, I told her there was no sense in throwing them all away. You can just do that. Okay, and once I get to the end, and I'm going to show you a closer view of this, I believe, on this video. I just flip the track over and start sewing on the other side. To the other side. But yeah, I just flip it over. So I stitch it underneath that braid to finish out the stitch, and then I flip it over so that it's not bulky. If I'm not mistaken, I will be showing you later on in this video how I do that. But if I don't, there is detailed, a very detailed video of it on my last video, on the illusion install video. So I think I'm going to show you here. Yes. I show you here that I pull the track underneath. I'm going to go over underneath the braid from the right side and then pull the track back under. Put the needle through the weft and pull the track underneath the braid. And that's how I do it. So I did show you. And then I'm just going to blow dry the wefts out just to help me straighten them out a little bit. So here I am. I'm going to straighten them out a little bit as I go and then go back through it because we're trying to get them as straight as possible. And you can see with this hair, I colored it before and they're kind of old. So a lot of the color has broken off of the ends, but we didn't want to just throw the hair away, and the hair was good enough to use again. I got some ashy elbows. All right. See, it's already semi silky smooth and straight. I'm going to go back over this again once I get through the entire head, sewing in all the hair over the entire head. So here I am again. So I take the needle over underneath the braid from the top and I pull it through the weft. And then I'll take it underneath the braid like so, like you just saw, and I'll flip the track over, and this helps me make make it a little more flat. And here I am folding the track over again. So we've now made it to the top, and it is very important for you to get your tracks as close to the edge of the final braid as possible. That way, because if there's a space there between, it's very, very hard for me to explain, but there is a space between, too much of a gap between the tracks where your last track is and where your leave out is, it's not gonna look as seamless. And then your tracks start growing up and it's going to be hard to cover. So the closer you can get to the, I guess, the edge of the braid and where your leave out, the hair that you're leaving out starts, then the less likely your tracks are going to show, basically, especially when you have fine hair like my client here. But you can see that I'm trying to get that track like on the very, very, very edge of that braid, if that makes sense. And one key to doing this is like you see me holding the track, like pulling the track taut also helps. Like I am putting a little bit of tension on that. I'm pulling the track like taut so that it can, I don't know, it just secures it a little better. But yeah, if you can see, like there's barely any space between the hair that's being left out and that weft. So all done, and now I'm gonna straighten the rest of the hair out. Okay, I just want you to look here and see how those tracks are laid directly on top of each other. Even though this is as close as what, I typically do, but that also helps um, with, I guess, leave out, being able to, to use leave out the water to cover your tracks. If she did have the entire perimeter out, she'd be able to easily put this in a ponytail without like tracks being seen. So it helps you cover your tracks a little better, especially when you have thinning edges, or or thin hair, thin fine hair. Like my client, she doesn't have thin hair, but she has very fine hair. So now I'm going to tackle the leave out. So you see, like, even though her hair is fine, I am still able to cover the tracks with no problem. See, no tracks are shown. Now I'm going to trim the hair, and I decided not to, have her have this like perfectly straight, just because of like all the breakage to the wefts from the color and just the age of the hair. I'm gonna end up like putting a little bit of body curl in this, just to make it, just look a little better. So here I am, and I'm gonna add the body curl using my flat irons. Um, just give her a little bit of like a beach wave. Um, like I said, only because I just wasn't happy with how the color was looking. So this will kind of camouflage it and whatnot, instead of just wearing it completely straight. So you see every flaw. It turned out so, so, so pretty. It's the bounce for me.